Hi everyone, it's Mary Lou. Welcome back to my channel. This shelf is a problem for me. And so today we're going to tackle some of my very old wooden stamps, and I'm going to figure out what to do with them. As part of this, I also have a can of stamps here, and plus in my little file, I've got an area of stamps. So let's tackle that today. Okay, we're going to start out with this big bin that I pulled out of my cupboard there. It's just a mess. I've got all kinds of things in here. I've got some seasonal notebooks. I really like these. I like to use them along with a planner as a to-do list or a shopping list. They're just in the wrong spot. And then I've showed these on past videos where I use these notepads from the dollar store, and then I take them to my local paper place and I have them cut them down. So I'm just going to move all of this out of the way and get to where I can manage the stamps. Look at all the stuff that's just in the wrong spot and is making it hard for me to manage my stamps. So all of the notebook stuff out of the way, and then we're down to just our stamps. I have been using this acrylic bin that I got from Amazon, and I really like it. It's divided into two sides. I really like the depth. It fits my cupboard perfectly. And so before I ever buy any containers, I always measure my space and I check what I already have. And I always make sure my container fits my space. I don't ever want to have to buy more space. I'm going to change my containers. And so one thing I like about these as well is that the sides are straight. I don't like sides that kind of bow out. That bugs me. And so if I can find some links, I will put links for this container in the description below. So let's look at stamps that I have. This is a set that I got. It was on a big clearance, and it's a thing with letters and numbers, and you can create your own sentiments. It is a little bit fiddly. I have that one, and then I have another one with different sizes of blocks. These are all from Making Memories, and I've used them quite a bit. They're actually pretty well used. I'm just sort of in a debate about them because they are kind of fiddly. And then it comes with this set, and I've actually combined a couple of sets into one container. And I really do like it. And it's something that nowadays you can get so many sentiments, but I kind of do like that I am able to just put any sentiment that I want. I really want to weed this down. I don't particularly enjoy stamping very much. What I would like to do is shift some of these out so that I am using some of the maybe more current ones that are clear stamps. I think they're easier to use because they're easier to use in my MISTI. And I like stamps that have the accompanying dies because I don't like to fussy cut. So when I look at this is actually the combination of several stamp sets. I have weeded down my stamps several times before, and I'm looking at this, and this acts as both a cupcake and a mug, but I now have some dies for cupcakes and mugs, and I just don't feel like I need that anymore. So I'm going to start putting aside things that I feel like I can weed out, and I'm going to be aggressive with this, because what I have found is that when I have weeded things out, I end up not even remembering what I got rid of, so it must not have mattered very much. So I'm just going to go through this, and I am going to do some get rid of. These are going to go to Goodwill, and then the keeps I'm going to go ahead and set aside, and then I'd like to go ahead and put them back in a container like this, because then I can just pull it out, and look and see what I've got and be done with it. So I'll just fast forward and weed through this. So as I go through this, I just want to talk through some of my decision making. Some of the small ones that are of a similar theme I'm pulling together, and later on in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your very own background stamps that you might want to repackage and use differently. Some of the things I have in here are sentimental, and I don't want to get rid of them yet, like this package, this set here that I've used since I was a school teacher. And so I'm just going to hold on to those until I'm ready to let go. And there are some sets that I'm just going to keep. You do not have to keep full sets. There are some stamps within a set that I have never used, and I do not foresee that I will use them. And so those things, go ahead and let go. You don't have to keep full sets. And so things that I have never used, stamps that I have never used, those are the ones I'm looking at very critically of, will I ever use that again? Do I foresee myself using it? Because it is okay to let go. And instead of just accruing more and more and more, it's good to let go, ease your mind of those things. That's fewer to think about when you're going to go make a card or something. You'll have fewer stamp sets to look through, fewer things to fiddle with, because I know that often too many supplies really weighs me down and kind of inhibits my creativity. And so let your supplies be useful to you and small enough in quantity that you can actually see what you have and not have things be lost. So these are the ones that I'm weeding out that I'm going to get rid of. Some of them I just don't need anymore. I don't use. And so I've got several that'll go to Goodwill. These I'm going to keep for now and continue to evaluate my stamp situation. I went ahead and cleared out this bin so I can use it for some other things, and located some things that I have been looking for. It's good to go through and clean out and find out what you still have. Okay, so I've moved all those other things out of the way. I still have the ones that are going to Goodwill here because I want to go through this file. I'm going to keep going through what I have in the way of stamps, because if I have a good one here and a coordinating die, then I know that I can get rid of maybe a couple of my other stamps, because I have other stamps that are a gift, and I have them in two different styles. I don't feel like I need both styles. So as I go through this, it will help me continue to weed down what I just looked through. And so these are the stamps with the coordinating dies. This is what I like, and that's kind of the direction I want to go. And so one of my plans is, as I look through my stamps, I have some that in an earlier video I took off of the wooden blocks, and I put them on a separate card and in a sheet like this, because this takes up so much less space, and I can use this in my Misty stamping tool, and I really like that. I've actually been looking at a car stamp with the coordinating die. So I'm going to start making a decision, and I'm going to go ahead and use one of my little notebooks, and I am going to start making a list of stamp die combinations that I would like to shift out all of these to. But I would like it to be the clear stamps for one thing, because then you can see better when you're positioning. And I'd like to have the coordinating dies. So I'm going to, it's the beginning of the year, I'm going to start thinking along the lines of, what could I get rid of? What can I replace and make my stamping experience better? Because I love die cutting, but I'm not wild about stamping. So let's go with our combos. I'm just going to pull those out. So one of the things I'm going to do here is compare my clear stamps with the matching dies with my block stamps and see what I can further weed out. So I'm going to take some time, look at them back and forth, figure out which ones I am going to use and which ones I can clear out. Another thing I'm looking at as I go through stamps is shelf life. So stamps do get old. Some of them over time and use, they will become very dry and they no longer stamp well. I'm going to be letting those go and then noting in my book those because I've generally used them quite a bit. And so that I know from my list to watch for stamps to replace those ones that I use so much. Okay, so I got rid of a couple of different sets, but I'm making notes of what I would like to shift out to. I've pared that down and I'm feeling better about that. So this is the pile of things that I'm going to get rid of and get those all together in a bag to go to Goodwill. And I'm breathing easier. And what I do have now, what I know I have, is so much easier to find. Okay, now that we have weeded out our stamps, I want to show you how to make some background stamps. So these little ones like this, I rarely use for anything except backgrounds. I haven't even used these particular stamps, but this size it's a little small and fiddly. And so you can go ahead and stamp around the backgrounds, or you can go ahead and make a little background stamp of your own. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we'll do the same thing with these. These are some Halloween background stamps. So I want to use these all as a group as a background stamp. So I have a piece of acetate, and this is pretty heavy duty, and then a white sheet that goes behind it so I can see what I'm doing. So we're going to start out just like we did to remove these from the block. I'm going to just put that right in the middle. That's going to be my starting point. And then I'm going to go ahead and take these others off, and I'm just going to place them somewhere near. And this is a background stamp, so I don't want them in a line. I want to be able to turn this and create all kinds of different backgrounds. Now, let me show you how this works and how we are going to end up with our stamp of what this looks like. Okay, so this is how I'm going to use this stamp. I'm going to put a piece of my cardstock into my MISTI, and now everything's held on there. I'm going to put just a little bit of tape right on the back of that, and then I'm going to position that where I want it on my cardstock. Close my MISTI, it'll pick it up, and then I can use my Altenew black obsidian ink, and I can stamp that, and there you go. Now I can go ahead and turn this and stamp again. There we go. So then what I can do is I want it to stamp in this area next. So I'm going to put down a piece of clear acetate, and then I can pick up my background stamp, lay it in its place so I know it's positioned where I want it, pick it back up, then I can move my clear acetate, ink it up, and stamp it down. So you can see, oops, I need to restamp that one. And I've got a sticky pad here, so it's holding that paper in its right place. So I can restamp, and there we go. So I can come back through and go, okay, I want my next one to stamp here. So, and I've got that impression there, so I can go ahead and just basically line that up, pick it up, oops, remove my acetate, and stamp again. So you can see, oh, need to redo that. So you can see how you can use those little stamps to create your own background stamp. But that extra piece of acetate really helps me gauge where my stamp needs to go. And I have created a background stamp all by myself that I can just use over and over to create a pretty background. And oops, now that it's off the wood block, it will be so much easier to store. Then I can just slide in a piece here because a little bit of that is going to go off the paper. There. So if you have several stamps that are the same theme, you can arrange those in a random pattern and create your own background stamp. So let me close this up and then let me show you then how we're storing this. So I'm going to get my piece of cardstock that I'm going to use behind that, and get my handy dandy piece of acetate. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and stamp that somewhere right in the middle of the cardstock, anything exact. And then I'm going to move that, ink it back up. So I slide them together into the envelope. There, and I just have handy dandy there a little background stamp, and it just fits right in with my other ones. So let's use these now that aren't as useful as I would like them and create my own background stamp with those. I still have my piece of acetate that I use with my Misty, and that piece of acetate can just store right inside your Misty, and that's helpful. So on this one, I've got my acetate and I've got my white paper. And then what I'm going to do is use my spatula, remove the backing just like I have. Then I'm going to actually take my scissors, and remember, you're not only, after you do this, you're not only going to have to clean off your spatula, but your scissors as well. And I am actually going to cut those apart. So the advantage of doing this is that instead of having a clump of bats or a clump of candy corns or a clump of spiders, I can cut these apart and scatter each of those Halloween items across the entire card to create my own background. And then I don't just have a bunch of one thing or another. That is how I use these stamps, is as a full Halloween background where everything is mixed up. That's what I wanted, and that is why I cut them apart and am creating this background stamp in this way. Then I'm going to really push those down. Now let's get our Misty and stamp that again and see how that comes out. So I get my Misty, and I can check this periodically. And I can see if each of my pieces are holding on. So see how that's coming up. So what I want to do is just solve that really easily. I can just pull up that stamp piece, and I can add glue and then just stick it back in its place. And that holds on. Position that just how I want it. Pick it up, move my acetate. Then I can go ahead and do another stamp so I have the example that's going into my envelope. There we go. And so I really like that. I think that will be useful, real helpful to me. And then I can also come and reposition like I showed you with the last one, stamp closer to the edge if I wanted, and all of those things to make it turn out just like I wanted. And for me, it made these block stamps something that I will go to and I will use much more often rather than just random block stamps laying everywhere. Thanks for joining me. Remember to take care of your things, use them in the way that makes most sense to you. And most of all, remember, we use things and love people instead of the reverse. We'll see you next time.